of the then Minister for Environment in illegal mining, and the missing seized excavators, he was kept at post. The excavator thieves have been left on the hook to enjoy their loot. The missing excavators were never retrieved, yet Ekwewusi's auctioneer license has been restored to him. Indeed, some of the excavators were later found with MPP elements all over the country, while pickup vehicles, which were equally seized from illegal miners and in some cases legal small-scale miners, were distributed among party people for party work. Even more worrying was the fact that weapons seized from these illegal miners could not be accounted for, as they were either sold or shared to MPP food soldiers, some of which landed in the hands of their bandits and their vigilante groups. These facts have been corroborated publicly by MPP's Member of Parliament for Asin Central, Kennedy Japan, who is now aspiring to be their presidential candidate. And so if you don't believe me, at least believe Kennedy Japan. He said, Fremfong Watson Ekwewusi sold excavator for 25K, Kennedy Japan, presidential candidate aspirant of the New Patriotic Party. Ladies and gentlemen, the manner in which the missing excavator scandal has been handled is smoking gun evidence of the complicity of President Akufo-Addo himself and his government in the illicit galamsey trade, and their lack of political commitments to the fight against the menace and its devastating effects on our water bodies, our lands, our forest reserves, and our environment in general. The party Yensika scandal once again exposes President Akufo-Addo and the ruling MPP as being the chief culprits of the politicization of the fight against galamsey. Because, ladies and gentlemen, how can we not politicize the fight against galamsey when the whole political party, the ruling political party, chooses to profit from galamsey, to build their party economically, party basically? It will take political will to defeat galamsey, and so galamsey will continue to be a political matter. If President Akufo-Addo wants to deal with the problem as a non-politician, he should resign and go to his hometown and take up a chieftaincy position or a pastoral position and do that. But so long as he's a politician elected by the people, he will be held responsible. And if we do that, we are not doing politics, we are doing what ought to be done. We are holding duty bearers of this country and those responsible for the protection of our environment and our mineral resources accountable. The second issue we'll talk about is the famous Anas Galamsey fraud documentary. Friends from the media, you will recall that sometime in 2019, East investigative journalist Anas Anas of Tiger IPI released an undercover investigative video which contained very startling details of how certain appointees of the Akufo-Addo government and MPP apparatchiks made a mockery of the fight against illegal mining. The documentary, among others, exposed the underbelly of official complicity in the fight against galamsey. It provided the clearest and most irrefutable evidence that beneath the surface of all the flowery rhetoric about protecting the environment, I am putting my presidency on the line, and we are fighting galamsey and so on, President Akufo-Addo's boys at the Flagstaff House, right under his nose, were promoting galamsey with reckless abandon through the shameful collection of bribes from Chinese and other illegal miners. The evidence as captured on video revealed clear breaches of Ghana's mining laws and other guidelines as espoused by the then Interministerial Task Force to help in this fight against the menace. As we witnessed in the undercover video, officials of the Akufo-Addo government who were entrusted with the responsibility to act in the best interest of the state turned out to be the very enemies who compromised the state's efforts. In that video, Charles Bisi, the then secretary to the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, doubled as a presidential staffer, was clearly seen demanding and collecting bundles of money, bribes, and abusing his office to facilitate illegal mining activities. Quite symbolically, Charles Bisu could be seen soliciting and collecting these bribes at a scene with a picture of President Kufuor hanging conspicuously on a wall. It will be recalled that another supporting cast in the video was Andy Usu, who was then a connection man, helping to facilitate the deal. Andy doubled as an aide to Bernard and Tribu Siako, MPP's Ashanti Regional Chairman, aka Muntumi, whose own Galamsey exploits will be discussed later in this presentation. It is instructive to note that till date, ladies and gentlemen, no punitive actions whatsoever has been taken against the then Secretary to the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, Charles Bisu, and his accomplice, Andy Usu. Indeed, even before the then Special Prosecutor could probe the conduct of Charles Bisu, the police CID, under the leadership of Tiwa Dodankwa, contrived to clear him of every wrongdoing and absolve him of his crimes. The handling of the Galamsey fraud scandal, ladies and gentlemen, is yet another clear instance of governmental complicity in the illicit Galamsey trade, which is destroying our water bodies, our forest reserves, our lands, and our entire ecological system. Number 3, we will talk about the involvement of MNDCs in the Galamsey fight. Distinguished friends from the media, you will recall that sometime in the year 2018, the Minister for Local Governments, Haji Alima Mahama, at an official conference with metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives of the Kufuor government, indicated that her outfit had evidence that several MMDCs were engaged in the illicit Galamsey trade. This is not something Sami Jefi or any opposition member said. This was said, this statement was made by no less a person than Honorable Haji Alima Mahama, a former minister for local government appointed by President Kufuor. And you can see the story on the screen. Some metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives are said, no, let me see the headline first. The headline. Good. Ministry to name and sack MMDCs engaged in Galamsey, September 10th, 2018. You can Google it and read the story for yourself. The minister went on to say that she knew the identities of MMDCs who were engaged in Galamsey and was going to publish same, but that never happened. Since then, MMDCs of the Kufuor government, who have been emboldened by this cover-up and the president's lack of commitment to the Galamsey fight, have been actively promoting illegal mining with brazen impunity. Of the most troubling of these reports have been those concerning the district chief executive officer for Elembele in the western region and Bosowe Freho in the Ashanti region. We begin with the DC for Elembele, Kwesi Bonzo, who as far back as 5th April 2020 was accused by his own MPP constituency executives. And when they go and do the Galamsey, it's their own executives who come and expose them because of Edidija, who was accused by his own MPP constituency executives of his involvement in illegal mining activities. These MPP executives had alleged that after a joint operation was carried out at some Galamsey sites, leading to the seizure of 7 excavators and the arrest of 5 persons, the DC for Elembele unpatriotically, and here I'm quoting the MPP, he said he unpatriotically took 10,000 Ghana cedis for each excavator, totaling 70,000 cedis, and shockingly released the excavators to them, unquote. No action whatsoever was taken against the DC. And you can see the Ghana Web publication on that matter NPP executives accused Elembele DC of engaged in illegal mining. Not NDC executives, NPP executives. This is the same DC, ladies and gentlemen, who as recent as September 2022 was arrested for obstructing the police in the retrieval of missing excavators that had been seized from Galamsey sites in the area. Under the watch of Kwesi Bonzo, Galamsey now has become a thriving free-for-all enterprise in Elembele. Illegal miners have moved their equipment to the main township. They moved their mining equipment from the forest to the main township and are actively doing Galamsey behind the official residence of the DC and on the land of the Krofo Senior High School. Aside this, ladies and gentlemen, is the matter of the DC for Bosome Fremont in the Ashanti region, Honorable Yampanso, who was clearly caught on tape directing party people on how they should use Chinese to front their Galamsey activities. Because of time, I may not be able to play the tape to you, but I'm sure you have all seen the tape. As far back as Monday, 1st February 2021, some party executives of the New Patriotic Party and residents of Bosome Fremont accused their district chief executive, Yaldaso, for engaging in Galamsey activities. In fact, some residents described him as a kingpin, and they are quoting the kingpin of Galamsey in the area, who is fronting for Chinese nationals in illegal mining, and called on President Akufo-Addo to relieve him of his post as district chief executive. Indeed, the DC is clearly heard in the audio that has emerged, confessing to receiving 5% of the proceeds of Galamsey from someone, which translated to an amount of 15,000 every 2 weeks, as agreed between he and the owner of the Galamsey concession, in the presence of their lawyers. He was also heard in the audio giving instructions to someone to bring in Chinese miners, coaching them on how to use Chinese miners to do Galamsey in exchange for cash. This strong evidence has been available to President Akufo-Addo and people at the forefront of the Galamsey fight, yet they have failed to crack the whip. President Akufo-Addo's comment on this matter during his engagement with MMDCs and some chiefs in Kumasi only yesterday shows clearly that he hasn't repented from shielding his officials who engage in illegal mining, and proves what a walking contradiction he is as he continues to skirt around this very important national issue. Having admitted yesterday that he was aware of reports of the Galamsey activities of his DC for Bosome Fremont, Yaldaso, President Akufo-Addo's claim that his errant DC has lost his mother and will be invited to Accra for questioning at a later date after he buries his mom, clearly betrays the president's lack of genuine commitment to punish his own appointees who are behind the illicit business. The Ghanaian people are simply tired of the president's cocktail of empty and useless rhetorics on this subject of Galamsey. We are saying to him today that it is either we begin to see action on his part, or he should simply spare us his empty talk. Number 4, ladies and gentlemen, we talk about the compromise, Operation Vanguard, Operation Galamstop, and Operation Halt campaigns of this government, which have all turned out to be fiascos. At the heart of President Akufo-Addo's fight against illegal mining, ladies and gentlemen, has been a huge expenditure on various military and sometimes joint security operations, from Operation Vanguard to Operation Galamstop to Operation Hot. Several millions of Ghana cedis have been expended on procuring logistics, the feeding of security personnel, and the so-called reclamation of lands in the name of fighting illegal mining. Also, as recent as 27 April 2022, the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Mekuduka, who also doubles as the MP for Taklanswayo, was accused for his involvement in a dispute between two illegal small-scale mining gangs. The Okobeng gang on one hand, and the Mekuduka side on the other hand. The leader of the gang, the leader of the group alleged to be affiliated with the MP, died on the spot from a gunshot, while the leader of the Okobeng gang sustained deep cutlass wounds on the head and ears and was rushed to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. The Deputy Minister and MP for Takwa, who was never sanctioned by President Akufo-Addo for allowing illegal mining activities in his backyard, let alone actively encouraging and associating with same, today openly talks about the need to fight Galamsey. If you go to his own hometown, Pataho, in Dompe, I'm talking about the hometown of the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mekuduka, who doubles as a chief in the area. His hometown has now become a hotbed for Galamsey activities. And you can go there with your cameras to check for yourself. His own hometown. Friends from the media, all the cases we have outlined point to an indisputable fact, and the so-called fight against illegal mining under President Akufo-Addo has long been a wobbly, compromised one that is bound to fail. President Akufo-Addo has taken no interest in investigating these reports and bringing the named culprits to book. The only reasonable explanation for this strange reluctance of President Akufo-Addo to act on these glaring cases of governmental and official complicity in Galamsey is that President Akufo-Addo is himself complicit and benefits from the illicit Galamsey trade of his appointees. Distinguished friends from the media, we are pretty sure that you have followed recent events pertaining to the illegal mining activities of a company belonging to Bernard and Kripo Siakon, aka Chamawu Tumi, who is the Ashanti Regional Chairman of the ruling New Patriotic Party. The said company, known as Akonta Mining Limited, is reported to have been engaging in extensive illegal mining activities in the Kanon Nimre Forest Reserve, located in Sanrebol, in the Western region, without any mining lease, mineral rights, or permits to undertake any mining operations in the Kanon Nimre Forest Reserve. This fact has been confirmed by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the Minerals Commission. Yet, Chamawu Tumi is still working free. As earlier reviewed, Chamawu Tumi is one of the biggest and leading Galamsey kingpins in this Akufo-Addo Bawumia cabinet, whose Galamsey footprints have left vast devastation in various forest reserves in the Ashanti, Eastern, Western, and Western North regions of this country. Embodied by the nonchalance and lukewarm posturing of President Akufo-Addo, MPP bandits and thugs who now work for Chamawu Tumi's mining companies had the effrontery to engage in an open armed combat with the anti-Galamsey task force of Ochekne at Asamai Tanfo in the Eastern region only 2 weeks ago. Maybe you have seen it, some may not have seen it. So as for this one, let's play the video so that those who have not seen it can watch it, because it is quite recent. I'm talking about those who are watching. The video of tax and bandits belonging to Chamawu Tumi engaging in an armed combat. These are the bandits we are talking about. at this time. Because this is how low our blood has sunk. Are we at war? What crime have we committed? What wrong have we done, President Kufuor and these people? That in the name of Galamsey, they can engage in such armed combat in a community without even caring about the children, the women, the old men, the young people in the community, and the unintended consequences of the guns they were firing on these people. They didn't care, because for them, party is here. This is how Brazen Wood to me has become in its indiscriminate Galamsey activities and destruction of the environment under the watch of President Kufuor and Vice President Alhaji Bawumia. Galamsey fight must certainly be the ignominious Aisha Kwai debacle. Aisha Kwai debacle, as putrefying as it is, undoubtedly sums up Kufuor's fight against Galamsey, which has been one of hypocrisy, double standards, and complicity. We are sure that you are all aware of how the Chinese woman, Aisha Wan, who was arrested in May 2017 and charged for undertaking illegal mining in Ghana and allegedly deported from the country in December 2018, miraculously re-emerged in Ghana. Aisha Wan, who gained extreme notoriety for her Galamsey activities, was tagged as the Galamsey Queen. Is said to have been in Ghana all this while, in fact since 2018, and was back to her illicit Galamsey business until she was recently arrested after one of her partners reported her to the police. Indeed, many, including us in the NDC, casted doubts over whether or not Aisha was deported from the country in the first place when she was first arrested in 2017. As fate will have it, the chickens have come home to roost. When in a recent interview with Stone City FM in the Gocha region on Monday, 12 September 2022, truth mistakenly fell out of President Kufuor's mouth. In response to a question on the rearrest of Aisha Wan, the president said, I am not sure whether she was in fact deported or whether she fled the country the first time and has now come back, unquote. If you doubt me, watch this video. Can we see that video? Okay, we will show that video later. Much as the above statement from President Kufuor was tragic, it revealed the inner truths and naked underbelly of the so-called fight against Galamsey, which has been nothing but lip service, half-hearted efforts, and complicity. Environment without any reclamation. What we are vehemently against is hypocrisy of government officials who, after destroying the businesses of legal small-scale miners, have turned around to engage in the menace with brazen impunity. Thank you for your attention, ladies and gentlemen. And may God bless our work.